The idea here is we really just want to set the foundation. So I'll be going into a lot of foundational things to do with financial literacy, especially now for all these entrepreneurs, all these young ladies here. So let me just get into it immediately. So I hope everyone has like a notebook or somewhere they can write notes, because I will just be speaking and just trying to compact all this information. So if you can take notes, please do. But I don't know if, Grace, you're also recording it. If you aren't, I just hope they take notes.
Yeah, I'm recording it. It's being recorded live. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So the first thing I want to talk about is when you have a business idea and you're starting out, or even if your idea has been going on for a while, you have to write down your mission, right? So what is your mission? What is your business that might outlive you? So sometimes we only have a mission that is for a 10 years, 20-year-old business, but sometimes we have a mission which is greater than us, across the continent, across the world. This business that you want to expand, what is it a solution of? Because your business must be a solution to a problem, or must just meet a demand. So that is where we start when we have a business. So the next thing is when you have this solution, who are your market, or who are your clients? Who are your customers? Are you aspiring for a different kind of customer? Maybe your customer is at a certain level. So write down as well your ideal customer, like who is the person you'd want to be buying your products. And would you want this person to be buying your services or your products for life or for a certain period? And how will that convert to a spread of your business? In other words, how will it grow? You see, like what they do when they market knowing that one day this young person will grow up, get a job. This person will grow up, get maybe a mortgage for their house, have children, and now those children should also join the same bank. So they have very long-term views of their businesses. So have a very long-term view of your business, or think about how many years you want to be in charge of the business, and whether you will now eventually hand it over to your children in the future or sell the business. Selling a business is not a bad idea, especially if it's at its peak. But if it's a startup, you really need to let it grow. So that's what I wanted to start off by saying. Then the next thing I wanted to say is when we talk of marketing, because marketing is just looking at who is the market, how big is your market, who are your competitors. So when you look at how big your market is, think beyond your immediate customer into, of course, using digital means, how you can reach other customers, right? So we have cell phones, we can always reach other customers, especially if we use social media. So think about using social media, and I'm sure you already do, on how to expand your businesses. So the market is very, 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 very important. So if you know you're not good in marketing or in social media, get your friend or someone else who can help you do that marketing for you. Marketing is very, very, very important, because that's where you convert people who've never heard of you into becoming your customers and remaining loyal. The other thing about marketing is if you have that circle of customers and you keep sharing to them, they also will continue sharing to others, because your visibility will always be in their face. So you have to have a way of structuring how you market continuously and convert customers to even go ahead and share with others. And then what happens is you convert your customers into being your salespeople. So you don't even have to have a huge sales team. Your sales team could be your customers. Loyal customers are the best sales team, because they will tell new people that this is the product or the service I've been using. They sell for you, they convince for you. So that is very, very important. So if you are not good at marketing, you can go ahead and look up a friend or someone else who is good at sharing, who has networks, who is good at social media, who is able to expand the market. Now, if you have competition, there's nothing wrong with competition. Competition just means there's actually a large market. Now, Nigeria is 200 plus million people, so the markets are huge, huge. That's already an advantage. So you can now carve out your niche. You could be in the same line. You could carve out your niche in the market of whatever you're selling. If you're selling, and I'm going to open this up to some questions just so that I can understand what kind of businesses they all are into, so that I direct some of what I'll be presenting on that. So the idea here is the market is huge. We have global markets because of just using our cell phone and using the internet. So look at how to carve out a difference between yourself and your competitor. There's always something better you can offer. There's always something new, something unique you can offer. So with marketing, it's a very important part. If you're not good at it, look for somebody who you can partner with, who can market for you. And you as the founder or director of your business, you set the tone. So you understand the kind of tone you're going to tell your customers. Is it an expensive tone? Are you selling luxury? Are you selling comfort? Because people are not sometimes buying products, they are buying a feeling. So what feeling are you selling? Are you selling that something is affordable? Are you selling that it's something for comfort? Are you selling something that's long-term use? Are you selling a luxury item? So you're selling feelings, right? So every time you market, you should now track how much your one post or however many posts or posters or flyers you send out and how they customers, because there's always an algorithm of how much you put out and how much will convert to a customer, how many calls you have to make before you get a customer, how much airtime you're using, how many emails, how much communication are you doing to convert customers. So you have to start tracking your marketing. If you already have a good demand, you may skip this because your demand will already lead you. So it's always good to have demand higher than what you're supplying. So always look to expand the demand, and even you can even create a sense of urgency by increasing the demand, right? So, okay, there's somebody whose mic is on. Okay, all right. So you can create a sense of urgency in how you market, because you can create that urgency in the demand for whatever you're selling, the product or the service that you're selling. So you can create that urgency by making it a one-off offer, a promotion, a limited time offer, and things like that. So that is one way to create the urgency. The other way is around a certain event. If it's a certain event or a certain holiday. Yes, Grace?
Yeah, I wanted to mention that I don't know if you got the memo, but they are doing a project. They are not doing any business for now. They are supposed to carry out a community project. Do you understand? So
Okay,
yes.
okay. No problem. So they're doing it together?
No, separately. Each person has her own funds to carry out a project.
Okay. Thank you for that. I may have missed that memo. Sorry about that.
No problem.
No problem. What I will say is, I mean, this applies to projects too. But what I will say is, when it comes to community projects, then we are going to look at partners. Who are the partners? Who are the chiefs, or who are the leaders on ground that you can partner with in order to grow the project, in order to have a successful project? Who are the government officials on ground? Who are the people who are influential on ground? So if we are looking into projects in the community, then it's very important to have the people on ground, chiefs, leaders, respected people, even politicians if possible. Sometimes that's not ideal, but if that will help the project be successful, we look into things like that. Now, I wanted to go into accounting. For any enterprise, an accountant is important, but since you're starting out, you are your own accountant. So you have to keep track of each and every one of your expenses, each and every one of your transactions, each time you spend money, you track it, you note it, you record it. Keeping good records can help you get better and bigger grants in the future. So if you're looking to succeed and have bigger and better grants, bigger and better projects in the future, all your records will be very, very important, because what happens is when you get to the point where you're looking for a partnership and you're looking for an angel investor who is now going to support you on your own, you have a track record. They will always look at your track record. They will look at if taxes are pertinent to what you're doing. They look at how you've been paying your taxes. They will look at how you've been spending this money. So it is very, very, very important for you to always put every expense, every transaction down. Now, for this project, maybe Grace, you can just briefly share with me, like one example of them, and then I can now speak to that.
Okay. All right, thank you for that. So I think I would rather the girls do that. So each of you will unmute your mic. Let's start with who is the first? I think it was Faith Ada Jesus that came in first today. So Ada Jesus, please unmute your mic and tell us briefly, very briefly, about your project.
Okay. My project is to help the girls, because many girls feel shy and unconfident during their period. So we have to train them on how they can maintain good hygiene, on how they can feel confident, so that whenever they are menstruating, they can be confident, and they can also be bold to speak up whenever they are menstruating.
Okay, so how do you intend to do that? Is it just the training, nothing else?
No, ma. We'll train the girls on how they can maintain good hygiene. Yes, that's it.
Okay, thank you. So training, that's it. All right. Thank you, Ada Jesus.
Okay, I can just speak to that. So when it comes to that, then you need to have many hands on ground. In other words, you need to look for ladies in the community who are ready to give their time, their energy, so that they can be mentors to these girls. And when the girls are having confidence, if these ladies can help them gain that confidence, can speak to them, can kind of even counsel them on these issues so that they aren't ashamed and they're able to keep good hygiene. So with almost any business, you always need people on ground who help support your mission. So if your mission is to help these girls in their seasons of turning from a girl into a woman, and they need to understand hygiene and they need to have the confidence, then you need to raise up mature ladies who will work with them, mentor them, and have consistent engagements, maybe meeting once a week, or once every 2 weeks, so that it's constant at the beginning, and then it can now taper off later on when the girls have grown and have matured a little bit.
Okay, that makes sense. So should we ask another person? Okay. So Leah, please go ahead, Leah.
Good evening. My project is to provide pads for girls that cannot afford it, especially in rural areas. And that's all.
Okay. So there are so many projects like that. So what you need to do is, do you know LinkedIn?
No, I don't.
Okay, so LinkedIn is a platform which is a professional platform. People, put down their work experience, the companies they work for, and all that there. Now, there are many, 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 many organizations that are ready to support sanitary pads. Very, very many. There are so many there. So you can start by joining LinkedIn. You just sign up the way you sign up to any social media platform. It's just an app. And then you can search for them there. But even ahead of that, if you have women leaders or, for in Kenya, we have councillors, we have members of parliament, we have senators and governors. If you can find one who will champion the cause, then they can kick off by doing a huge donation. The next thing you need to do is to seek out these large conglomerates like Unilever or Procter and Gamble. If they're in Nigeria, they must have offices there. So you must be able to reach out, even if it's a cold call. You just pick up the phone and call the numbers you find and tell them of your project and keep calling and asking. A lot of them have funds they set aside every year for projects to do with sanitary pads, and because they produce them, for them it's not an expense. It's actually more of community service. So for that one, I would say you look for a woman leader in your area to get the big donations, but at the same time, look for the producers like Unilever or Procter and Gamble who can do huge donations, and they'll be able to support even as you plan to join LinkedIn and look for programs that support sanitary pads.
Thank you, Ma.
You're welcome.
Okay, next person I'm seeing here, Idera, please go ahead.
Good evening, everybody. So, my project is to help spread awareness on the age of consent, help girls in my community know about the age of consent, and for those that have been abused, to help them get justice, help them get legal intervention, and possibly get some of these girls some basic amenities like probably pads, sanitary towels, books, just something to help them. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So yes, IDERA, there's one particular organization I know called Preventive Collaborative, which particularly work in helping girls who about consent, about emotional violence, sexual violence, and so many of these things. Again, you just need to look up these organizations. They have a lot of budget to be able to support that kind of project, as well as, of course, sanitary pads. But primarily, they do have support here in Africa where they do send out support and resources for girls who have been abused, particularly girls. I mean, they don't really work with boy children, but they do work with girls. And there are many other such organizations. So these organizations, what they do is they will send counselors, they will send resources, they will consistently use probably people on ground, but they do this for a year, 2 years, because they're also bound to certain periods to be able to offer these services. And then they can offer resources for girls who've been abused, or even about consent or any of these things. So once again, you need to look wide in, or go on the internet, look for organizations that support girl children in all these areas, and then you'll be able to request for that support. In Kenya, we have in the health we have the health ministry, but we also have programs from the EU and from other donor countries which support programs like that. So even go ahead and look into the EU programs. The EU is still very supportive. As you know, the US has pulled out all their support for most of these programs, but the EU is still very supportive. Canada is still very supportive. Australia is still very supportive. And their countries have budgets for that.
Okay, great. I hope you guys are taking notes. Please take notes too. They're gonna help you even beyond this TGI project. Okay, I think those are the three, just the three of them. It's just three of them. The other girls are
Okay.
their teammates. Yeah, so.
Awesome. So what I'm hearing here is that most of these projects are actually to do with sanitary pads, confidence, girls' confidence, prevention of abuse, and things like that, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, it's all about partnerships with everything to do with the community-based projects. It's all about the partnerships. So you need to have partners on ground, and you need to have men who are going to be your allies, because as you know, we live in Africa. It's a patriarchal society. So you find that you can't really progress unless you've gone ahead, used your networks with the elders or with the gentlemen, with the men leaders in the communities. Once there is a buy-in, which means that you have to convince them that it will appear well for them, it will present well for these male leaders, that it will appear on their record well that they're supporting girls' projects. Then they become your allies. Then they are able to probably network even among themselves to get more support.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So, we just want to know briefly how, because we are going to be giving them the funds they will be using to carry out their projects. So, how can they manage these funds? You know, they are adolescent girls.
Exactly.
Yeah, they are adolescent girls, and we don't want them to. Yeah, so they need to actually have a hands-on knowledge on how to manage their funds properly.
Exactly. So, are they able to open accounts? That's the question. Are they able to open accounts?
No, not them. The money is going to be sent to their guardians, parents, and teachers. Their guardians, basically.
Okay. So, like I said before, tracking everything. You must record each and every transaction, everything that you use for the project, even if it's your airtime or calling, you must track it. You must track if it's bus fare, you must track it. If it's actually buying the sanitary pads and things like that, you must track everything. So, how you manage these funds is you first do like a study of what you need. So, if it's as basic as they need 10 packets of sanitary pads, you look into where you can get a wholesale price. So you don't just buy it from any supermarket, you get a wholesale price. And you also make sure the wholesaler knows this is for girls who are in need, these are for needy girls, this is not for just anyone. So they can also give you a discount. And eventually, maybe they can even extend credit to you when you're used to buying after some time, when you're always consistently buying. So managing funds starts with recording all your transactions. And then separating needs from wants. So once you have this money, you remove all your wants out of that, because you now are just a steward of those funds. Those funds don't belong to you. You must account for them. Anytime you get donor funds or seed money, it doesn't belong to you. So you can't use it for personal reasons or for personal needs. As much as you may have an urgent or pressing personal need, just put it in your mind that these funds are for the project. So you separate your personal needs money and the funds that are for the project. And then you do the budgeting. So when you do the budgeting, you look at how much do I need for, let's say, a week. And then what is that actually required? So you have to delve deep into what you need. You don't just quickly rush. So you just figure out what your needs are. Also, what you don't want to do is to have to shop 2, 3, 4 times. If you can do one off in a wholesale and even have it delivered to you, then you having to go back and forth. So you look into all these different scenarios, look into how you can deliver these things to the girls, and then you do that budget. Then when you've done your budget is when you actually take out that money and spend the money. So you do all this preparation before you spend the money. Now, even making calls, you will have to note it down. So a call is not something that you have to go out and buy, but you will need that airtime and you'll have to account for the airtime. So when you're receiving this money from your guardians, you must make an account of, okay, what did I, if it was for my own personal fare or my own personal data or my own personal airtime, you must still note it down so that your airtime and all these things are not going to outweigh actual products like sanitary pads that you require. Now, for these ladies who I've already suggested you have to look for to mentor the girls with confidence, with hygiene, and you may have to facilitate some of these ladies. Maybe you'll have to send them some fare or something to help them go along. So you'll have to have maybe a mentorship account where you're saying, okay, I've spent 5,000 naira on these ladies because they're helping in the mentorship. I've paid it to this one, this one, this one, and this one. So you have to note all these different things, and always, always, always don't spend anything on personal needs. You just have to use the project money only strictly for the project. So that's what I would say on managing the funds. And then we are hoping that you'll get bigger and better donors. So the idea here is keep tracking when your guardians and your parents are keeping these funds, keep tracking so that when it comes to a new donor, if you have a person who wants to just donate to the fund or to the project, they will be able to look at your track record, what you've been doing with the funds you've been given, and then they'll be able to have that conviction and confidence that you can now carry out a bigger project, or probably they just add to what you're doing so that your project runs smoothly.
That was very detailed, very very detailed. Thank you very much for that. So, as regards the budgeting, girls, you see, please make sure you're attentive. We'll need you to ask questions. As regards the budgeting, um, do you have, even though we have a template that we'll be giving them to use, do you have any specific items that should be? Do you know of any specific items, maybe 3 or 4 items that should be in a budget template for their level, beginners?
Okay, so because this is a project, because what I normally have is the regular business template. So they are a bit different because they have all these different departments in marketing and all these things. But because this one is, I don't have one for the NGO startups, but I can definitely share one later on. I can just look for one which is very suitable to them, because I've worked a lot with startups. I've also worked with startups that receive seed capital and who have received donor funds from an angel investor. So I have worked with them, but I don't have one specific template. So I can get that to you by Monday, and they can use that. What I'll just say is that there's always needs versus wants. So your project has what we call the big rocks, the things that are highly, highly important. For example, the sanitary pads. So anything to do with the sanitary pads or hygiene products should be primary, because the project is, it's, yes, you're creating the awareness, you're supporting them with confidence and all these things, but if you don't have that basic need covered, then they won't even be interested in whatever else you're telling them about, because they'll be having to look for other ways of dealing with their menstruation. So that one is a bulk issue. So I can just look into what would suit them in terms of a budget. But for now, I would just say, just for them to really, really record each and every expense and to make sure they don't spend anything on themselves that is a personal use item.
Yes, thank you very much. Very important. I recently completed my fellowship with the Quarantine Fellowship of the United States Consulate, and I
Okay.
was the in my team. I was the one in charge of the project. I was like the team lead. I was the one in charge of the project. So, did you know that this thing you mentioned, I did not? Well, we were trained before we were given the funds, but I didn't take notes. So when we started spending, I did not take note of the calls. For example, like you mentioned, calls. I didn't take note of the transportation, because at some point I had to fly bikes to go meet some stakeholders. I did not write these things down. So when they asked us to submit our proposals, in the budget we had the big, the big titles, money to buy for what's this thing called, the things we're supposed to use to share to the girls, money to buy this, money for stakeholders, money for media coverage. They now asked me, oh, so how were you able to go and meet these stakeholders that you want to pay for? Then I got stuck, and they said they want to see every bit of information. So if only I had, they didn't give us all of the funds because I didn't put some of those things. They said they wanted to see those items and the receipts. So you see that it's very important as you are spending anything, even before you spend it. Probably you spent your money and you have to go and collect it back from your guardian. Write it down even before you collect it. Write it down.
Exactly.
Every single thing. Note it, because we are going to ask you. It's going to be part of what you're going to submit. It's going to be in your proposal. You attach your budget to your proposal. I want to see how you spent it. And it's not just because of us. The funders want to see it. The people who gave us the money to give you, they want to see it.
Exactly.
So
they have to get that account. True.
It's very important. And it will also help you in the long run. So that's it.
It does. Like I said, even data, even airtime, everything adds up. And sometimes we in business, we forget that those are some costs. And even when you go ahead and do your research, if that research is costing you money, you must note it. You say, this amount I spent on buying data for this and this research. Like you said with transport and social media, I want to believe that social media can help them get awareness out there, as well as reach for even other donors, because once you have a presence on social media about these kinds of projects, you may find even other people ready to support you. So it's always good to have that. So if it's gonna, whatever it costs you to open a social media page, get the word out there, put content on there on the project, have your content recorded, uploaded every time. All those are costs. So you have to cost that as well. With anything, any venture, you just have to record everything. And I like what you said about keeping receipts. If you have the digital receipts, because I know you have like Money Point and things like that. If you can keep those receipts or physical receipts, even when you pay something in cash, try get a physical receipt for it, because you will have to account for everything. What happens is all these donors, they also give an account. So when they say they've given out, say, $5,000 in a certain project, they also have to report back to their donors how it was spent. And they get penalized whether it's overspent or underspent as well. So it's always important to just record everything so that you keep that account.
Yes, very important. Please, if you don't record it, you will not be able to disburse it to you, because we also have to account. Okay, so does anybody have any questions? Any questions so far as regards? You're going to have another training on budgeting. Don't worry, an extensive training on budgeting. But this is just basics of financial literacy. We want you to take account of everything that you're going to be spending your money on. So, do you have any questions on finance? How to manage your finance, even if it's not about the project, your own personal finances, all of that. Does anybody have any questions? You can just raise your hand if you do. Okay, any other thing that is not financial related? You mean you girls are you are so hot that you every single thing. Okay, I'm going to ask a question. The first thing you should do, the very first thing you should do as regards finance in your project, the very first thing you should do. What did she say it is? The very first thing that you should do. Let me see who's going to answer that question. Okay, Idera.
Write down your mission.
Okay. Write down your mission. All right, Leah, let's hear you.
I have the same answer as Idera.
Okay, good. Write down your mission. Beautiful.
Write down your mission.
Good. So you were paying attention. What is the mission? What exactly is it? So after writing down your mission, what is the next thing? Idera? I'm sorry, Leah.
Who are your customers?
Okay, good. But now this is that was based
Yeah,
on
that was
business and
on
marketing.
yeah, commercial.
Yeah, but this time around we're talking about non-profit. Your community project. What should you do after you have gotten your mission in your head? For example, my mission is to share sanitary pads. After that, what's the next? As regards finance, what are you supposed to do next? Anybody? Blessing additional. Blessing additional. Go ahead. We can't hear you.
You outline what you need.
Good. Outline what are the things you need. Beautiful. So first things first, my mission is to provide sanitary towels. Number two, what do I need to make this happen? I'll write it down. Number three, what do you do? Number three, who wants to go? Number three. After you have set your mission and you have outlined what you need, the next thing is what? Okay, so the next thing you need to do, identify the people, the stakeholders that will help make it happen, to help your needs. After you have identified stakeholders, number four, you already have your funds, right? So you now begin to track every single thing you do as regards, oh, I want to now go and meet the stakeholder, or okay, we need this, I want to buy this. Write it down. Write it down. So those four steps, once you have those four things, there are others, but those four are the main ones. Identify your mission. What's it called now? What's the second one again? Remind me. Identify your mission. Go ahead, Ada Jesus.
Okay. Write down what you need.
Write down what you need. The third one.
Identify the stakeholders.
Good. Identify the
The
stakeholders.
stakeholder.
And
Keep track.
good. Keep track. Very good. All right. So I think we are good on financial aspect. So I believe that if we send you your funds now, I strongly believe that you will not mismanage it. You will not just say, oh, let me go and buy. You won't do that. You will first list the things the way we have said you should do it. Identify what you need to identify, and then start to list, what's it called? Track your